Hi, my name's Amy and I work in the activities department over at Baker. Today we're going to read a short story. This one is called The Umbrella Man by Roald Dahl. Can you see it? There we go. Alright, just a little short story. Okay, here we go. I am going to tell you about a funny thing that happened to my mother and me the other evening. I am 12 years old and I'm a girl. My mother is 34, but I'm already nearly as tall as she is. Yesterday afternoon, my mom took me up to London to see the dentist. He found a hole in my tooth. It was in the back of the tooth, and he filled it without hurting me too much. After that, we went to a cafe. I had a banana split, and my mother had a cup of coffee. And by the time we got up to leave, it was already 6 o'clock. When we came out of the cafe, it had started to rain. We must get a taxi, my mother said. We were wearing ordinary hats, coats, and it was raining quite hard. Well, why don't we go back into the cafe and just wait for the rain to stop? I asked her. I wanted another one of those banana splits. This isn't going to stop, my mother said. We must get home. We stood on the pavement in the rain looking for a taxi. Lots of them came by, but they all already had passengers inside of them. I wish we had a car and a chauffeur, my mother said. Just then, a man came up to us. He was a small man, and he was pretty old, maybe 70 or more. He raised his hat politely and said to my mother, "Excuse me, I do hope you'll excuse me." He had a fine white mustache, bushy white eyebrows, and a wrinkly pink face. He was sheltered under his umbrella, which he held high over his head. "Yes," my mother said, very cold and distant. "I wonder if I could ask you for a small favor," he said. "It's only a very small favor." I saw my mother looking at him rather suspiciously. She is a suspicious person, my mother. She is especially suspicious of two things: strange men and boiled eggs. When she cuts the top off of her boiled egg, she pokes around the inside with a spoon, as though expecting to find a mouse or something. With strange men, she has a golden rule, which says, the nicer the man seems, the more suspicious that you must be of them. This man was particularly nice. He was very polite, well-spoken, and well-dressed. He was a real gentleman, I thought. The reason I knew he was a gentleman was because of his shoes. You can always spot a gentleman by the shoes that he wears, was another one of my mother's favorite sayings, and this man had a beautiful pair of brown shoes. "The truth of the matter," the man said, "is I've got myself into a bit of a scrape and I need some help. Not much, I assure you. It's almost nothing, in fact, but I do need it. You see, madam, people like me often become terribly forgetful." My mother's chin was up, and she was staring down at him along the length of her nose. It was a fearsome thing, this frosty nose stare of my mother's. Most people go into pieces completely when she gives it to them. I once saw my own headmistress begin to stammer and simper like an idiot when my mother gave her that really foul, frosty noser. But the little man in the pavement with the umbrella over his head didn't bat an eyelid. In fact, he gave a gentle smile and said, "I beg you to believe, madam, that I'm not in the habit of stopping ladies on the street and telling them my troubles." "Well, I should hope not," my mother replied. I felt quite embarrassed at my mother's sharpness. I wanted to say to her, "Oh, Mom, for heaven's sake, he's a nice man, very sweet, very polite, and he's in some sort of trouble. So don't be so beastly to him," I wanted to say. The man shifted his umbrella from one hand to the other. "I've never forgotten it before," he said. "Oh, you've never forgotten what?" my mother asked sternly. "My wallet," he said. "I must have left it in my other jacket. Isn't that just the silliest thing to do?" "Are you asking me for money?" my mother said. "Oh, gracious me not," he cried. "Heaven forbid I should ever do that." "Well, then what are you asking me?" my mother asked. "Do hurry up, we're getting soaked to the skin here." "Oh, I know you are," he said. And that's why I'm offering you this umbrella of mine to protect you, and to keep it forever, if only. If only what? My mother said. Well, if only in return you would give me £1 for my taxi fare just to get me home. My mother was still suspicious. Well, if you had no money in the first place, she said, how did you get here? Well, I walked, he said. Every day I go for a lovely long walk, and then I summon a taxi to get me home. I do it every day of the year. Well, why don't you walk home now? My mother asked. Oh, I wish I could, he said. How I do wish I could. But I don't think I can manage it on these silly legs of mine. I've gone too far already. My mother stood there chewing on her lower lip. She was beginning to melt a bit, and I could see that. And the idea of getting an umbrella to shelter under must have tempted her a good deal. It is a lovely umbrella, she said. So it's silk, he said. Well, I can see that, she added. Then why don't you take it, madam? It cost me nearly £20, I promise you. But now it's of no importance so long as I can get home and rest these legs of mine. I saw my mother's hands feeling for the clasp of her purse. She saw me watching her, and I was giving her one of my own frosty-nosed looks. And she knew exactly what I was telling her. Now listen, Mummy, I was telling her. You simply mustn't take advantage of people this way. It's a rotten thing to do. My mother paused and then looked back at me, and then she said to the man, I don't think it's quite right that I should take the umbrella from you worth £20. I think I just should give you the taxi fare and be done with it. Oh, no, 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 he cried, out of the question. I wouldn't dream of it, not in a million years. I would never accept money from you like that. Take the umbrella and keep the rain off your shoulders. My mother gave me a triumphant sideways look. There you are, she was telling me. You're wrong. He wants me to have it. She fished into her purse and took out £1 note. She held it out to the man, and he took it and handed her the umbrella. He pocketed the £1, raised his hat, gave a quick bow from the waist, and said, Thank you, madam, thank you. And then he was gone. Come under here and keep dry, darling, my mother said. Aren't we lucky that we have a beautiful silk umbrella? I could never afford it before. Why were you so horrid to that man in the beginning? I asked. I wanted to satisfy myself that he wasn't a trickster, she said. And I did. He was a gentleman, and I'm very pleased to have helped him. Yes, Mummy, I said. A real gentleman, she went on. Wealthy, too. Otherwise, he wouldn't have a silk umbrella. I shouldn't be surprised if he isn't a little tilted person. Sir Henry Goldsworthy or something like that. Yes, Mummy, I said. This will be a very good lesson for you, she went on. Never rush things. Always take your time when summing somebody up. Then you'll never make a mistake, my mother said. There he goes, I said. Look. Where? She asked. Over there, he's crossing the street. Goodness, Mum, what a hurry he is in. We watched the man as he dodged nimbly in and out of traffic, and then when he reached the other side of the street, he turned left and walked very quickly. Well, he doesn't look very tired to me, does he to you, Mommy? I asked, and my mom did not answer. He doesn't look as though he's fixing to get a taxi either, I said. My mom was standing there, still and stiff, staring across the street at the man. We could see him clearly. He was in a terrific hurry. He was bustling along the pavement, sidestepping other pedestrians, swinging his arms like a soldier on the march. He's up to something, my mother said. But what? I asked. I don't know, my mother snapped, but I'm going to find out. Come with me. She took my arm and we crossed the street together, and then we turned left. Can you see him? My mom asked. Yes, there he is. He's turning right down the next street. We came to the corner on the right, and the man was about 20 yards ahead of us. He was scuttling along like a rabbit, and we had to walk very fast to keep up. The rain was pelting down harder than ever now, and I could see it dripping from the brim of his hat and shoulders. We were snug and dry under our lovely big silk umbrella. What is he up to? My mother said. What if he turns around and sees us? I asked. I don't care if he does, my mother said. He lied to us. He said that he was tired, too tired to walk any further, and he's practically running us off our feet. He's a barefaced liar and a crook." "You mean he's not a tilted gentleman?" I asked my mom. "Oh, be quiet," she said. At the next crossing, the man turned right, and then he turned left, and then right again. "I'm not giving up now," my mother said. "He disappeared," I cried. "Where has he gone?" "He went in that door," my mother said. "I saw him in that house. Great heavens, it's a pub." It was a pub. In big letters across the front of the street, it read, "The Red Lion." "You're not going in, are you, Mom?" "No," she said. "We'll watch from outside." There was a big plate glass window in the front of the pub, and although it was rather steamy inside, we could see through it if we went close enough. We stood huddled together outside the pub window. I was clutching my mother's arm. The big raindrops were making a loud noise on the umbrella. "There he is," I said, "over there." The room we were looking into was full of people and cigarette smoke, and our little man was in the middle of it all. He was now without his coat and hat, and he was edging his way through the crowd towards the bar. When he reached it, he placed both hands on the bar itself and spoke to the barsman. We saw his lips moving as he gave his order. The barman turned away for a second and came back with a smallish tumbler, filled to the brim with a light brown liquid. The man placed a pound note on the counter. "That's my pound," my mother hissed. "By golly, he's got a nerve," she said. "What's in the glass?" I asked. "Whiskey," my mother said. "Whiskey neat." The barman didn't give him any change from the pound. "Oh my gosh, it must be a triple whiskey," my mother said. "What's a triple?" I asked. 3 times the normal measure," she answered. The little man picked up the glass and put it to his lips. He tilted his head gently, and then tilted it higher and higher, and very soon all the whiskey had disappeared down his throat in one long pour. "That's a jolly expensive drink," I said. "Oh, this is ridiculous," my mom said. "Fancy paying a pound for someone to swallow it in one go." "It cost more than £1, I said. "It cost him £20 and a silk umbrella." "So it did," my mother said. "He must be mad." The man was standing at the bar with an empty glass in his hand, and he was smiling now. A sort of golden glow of pleasure was spreading across his face. I saw his tongue come out to lick his white mustache as though searching for one last drop of precious whiskey. Slowly he turned away from the bar and edged his way through the crowd to get his coat and his hat. He put on his coat, and then in a manner so cool and casual that you hardly noticed anything at all, he lifted from the coat rack one of the many wet umbrellas hanging there, and he went out the door. "Did you see that?" my mother shrieked. "Did you see that?" "Shh," I whispered. "He's coming out." We lowered our umbrella to hide our faces, and out from under it. He came out, and he looked in our direction. He opened his new umbrella over his head and scurried off down the road, the way that he had come. "Oh, so this is his little game," my mother said. "Neat," I said. "Super." We followed him back to the main street, where we had first met him, and we watched him proceed. With no trouble at all, he exchanged his new umbrella with £1 note. This time, with a tall, thin fellow who didn't have a hat or a coat. And as soon as the transaction was completed, our little man trotted off down the road and was lost into the crowd. But this time, he went in the opposite direction. "Oh, you see how clever he is," my mother said. "He never goes to the same pub twice." "He could do this all night long," I said. "Yes," my mother said. "Of course, I bet he prays like mad for rainy days." That's it. Kind of a silly story. A little goofy. I like Roald Dahl stories. Yeah. Alright. Thank you for tuning in. Thanks for listening. Bye.